Hi, welcome back to the channel.
Hello.
Today we're going to do something a little bit different for you. We're going to discuss our Europe trip that we went on. I know there's a few people who've been asking like how much campsites cost and things like that, and different elements to the trip. So we decided we'd do a summary of it.
Yes,
like
we did.
Our pros and cons to each different place that we've been to. And at the end we'll give you a full cost breakdown.
Yes, definitely. So where do we start with this?
Well, let's start where we started. We was at the Overlander show, weren't we?
Yes, so we was at the Overland show.
We just went straight from there down to a place in Kent that we stayed at.
Yeah, well actually that place in Kent was a bit difficult to find actually. So thinking back, it was actually like we got nearly stuck in narrow roads, didn't we? Trying to find that site.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we ended up phoning the campsite itself.
Yeah, so we stayed there for a night. Obviously, we've since found the Canterbury Air, which you will have seen in one of our previous vlogs. Mm-hmm. So if we are heading straight down from a show or something like that again, and not from home, and we want to stop over, we'll use the Canterbury
Yeah, it was easy to find, easy to get to, and easy to to get from to the tunnel or ferry.
But we learn as we go.
Definitely.
So and then our next stop was the tunnel, wasn't it?
Yeah,
basically.
So getting across on the tunnel, and that was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Plenty of room for a long vehicle as well. Obviously, you just got to make sure that when you book it as a motorhome. Because it'd be the single height carriages, because I believe there is double height carriage ones for cars. Yeah. So just making sure you're on the right one.
Well, it was good because I had a fear of it. Actually, the thought of being under the water was a bit of a fear for me. Like Lee has his fears of heights, I have fear of water at times, not all the time, but at times. So I was a little bit worried about that. But to be honest, you don't even know. You just if you haven't been on before and you are worried about it, please don't. It's 25 minutes of your life, probably about 20 minutes in the actual dark. And it's about a 30-minute tunnel altogether.
Say dark, there is actually lights within the train itself.
Yeah, but I mean actually in the tunnel is what I mean.
Yeah.
You can see the light through the windows as you're going into the tunnel and as you're coming out, and that is part of the time frame of the journey. So I say there's 20 minutes where you're actually in the actual tunnel. But you can just turn the seats round and have a chat and
chill out.
Actually, Lee went to go and have a lay down in the back.
Yeah, it was like being on a bit of a it was like being on a ship. So I sort of got up pretty quick.
He said to me, it feels like someone's driving the van and it's not me. It doesn't feel right.
Don't feel right. So I didn't stay there for long.
He was there for about a minute and then came back in.
Yeah. So I mean, the roads over the other side, it took not long at all really to adapt to driving on the other side of the road. They were decent roads and very clear of potholes and stuff like that. We headed straight to Tours and stayed on a 3 there, and that was literally just going to be a night stop.
So you did use the tolls for that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did use the tolls for that.
But we will give you a breakdown on all the tolls at the end, because we'd planned to stay 2 nights in Tours.
Yeah, we did.
Or do 2 night stopovers in France, either or. Before heading to Spain, didn't we?
Yeah.
But
we didn't feel comfortable there, to be honest. It's a city again, so it was quite built up around it. The air itself weren't too bad, but it was very noisy. There was a train, there was bikes. It was very noisy air.
It was free, so you can't complain about that.
No, that's right. So, but we decided, because we had a bit of rain and a bit of bad weather, that we'd just push on to Spain anyway.
And we'll catch a bit of France coming back, which we did, which is the better idea. Well, we got up that next morning, didn't we? And that's when we made the decision, like, let's head off to Spain. And we'd already got our first stop in mind. We'd seen it already on other people's vlogs, and we thought, looking on the map, it's a really good first stop over. So you pushed through. Was it about 8-hour drive you did?
Yeah, I think 7 hours, something like that.
From Tours to Pamplona.
Yeah.
So we crossed the border, and we were quite surprised with the border crossing, weren't we?
Well, it was very easy, wasn't it? We just thought it was another toll booth.
And then realised, we're through.
Yeah, so it was only shortly after we'd been through 2. So it was obviously the French side and the Spanish side, and then the signs changed, and we were like, oh, hang on a minute, we're in Spain. So so it was as quick as that, and it was really easy, really. So
we were quite surprised by because we weren't sure how we were going to go around the mountains, were we? We weren't sure what the roads would be like, or obviously never doing it before, never driven like that before. But yeah, the roads were really, really good, and yeah, you were high, and there was some twisty and turny. You did go through tunnels and things, but I was quite impressed with the roads, weren't you?
Yeah, the roads were fine, absolutely fine going into Spain.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we didn't really have much trouble with roads in Europe at all. So
no, not from there on. But that was our first experience, and I know there's other ways you can go around, and they are smaller roads and. More scenic and things like that, but as it's our first time in the motorhome driving over there, we're trying to play it safe. Then Pamplona was a good stop, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great stop actually. So we spent 2 nights in Pamplona.
Give you a rest from driving.
Yeah, because we done hit it hard at the beginning, which is a good thing to do because it gets the bulk of the driving out the way.
Yeah.
So we went and explored the city a bit, and that was really lovely city compared to the difference we found within Tours and then Pamplona. It was beautiful. People were absolutely fantastic there.
Yeah, not much English spoken.
No.
However, you can get by with Google Translate.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful city. The people are beautiful. Yes, it's got some history which a lot of people, including ourselves, don't agree with the bullfighting. But it's like Lee made a comment on the vlog, so everyone's got history.
And it's about exploring the history, to be honest.
And to look at how they did it was interesting, even though we didn't agree with it. And the city itself and the people were great. So we would definitely use that as a stopover place when driving through. We'll use it again, definitely.
It's only about an hour and a bit from the actual French border.
The air we used originally was a paid air. I think it was about €10 or something.
Yeah.
But you didn't get electric, did you? But you had all the services.
Yeah, no, we had electric.
Electric on that one as well. But there is one over the road, which is a free one. It's a big car park, isn't it?
Yes, so it's a massive overspill car park, but obviously cars use it, but for 24 hours you can park there for free, and I do believe you can use the facilities if you need to on the other air. That car park was fine. It was massive spaces for motorhomes, so it's
nice
fine.
Little
Plenty
park
of space.
there, dog walking place, even a dog agility place, wasn't there?
Yeah, so it's lovely.
So somewhere I really wanted to go in Spain for a long time was Tarragona. I've been to Salou in the past, and I've seen Tarragona was really near Salou, and I quite fancied that originally so that we could park up in Tarragona, maybe get a taxi to Salou and show Lee Salou. But we decided not to do Salou. So Tarragona was a really nice place. We had a campsite for a couple of nights, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a little bit tight in respect of the pitches were sort of marked out by pine trees, which was fine. We just about got in, but you have to make sure you park the right way so you can get back out again. That's one concern. But it was right on the beach, and it was under the shade, so it gave us that respite from the heat because it got really hot. And you could literally walk straight to the beach, so that was ideal.
You can actually get a premium pitch, can't you? It's
right on the beach.
Gives you the feeling of being right on the beach.
Yeah.
But that was a little bit more money. But I think if I did go back there, I would still like a premium.
Yeah,
pitch.
I think we'll probably go for a premium pitch next time.
Yeah.
The only thing with that site I would say is we got a taxi into Tarragona. You can bike ride into Tarragona, however it's on quite a busy and main road, so a lot of people opted not to take their bikes, and they just got a taxi in, which weren't that expensive, and it was quite a quick journey.
There is a train, which was the biggest downside of the whole site really, and let it down.
Yeah.
It passes through the site quite regularly and quite like unsociable times as well.
Yeah.
And it's really noisy, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be a pain.
But yeah, Tarragona definitely a place to visit, isn't it? The next place I wanted to go, because I'd seen it on people's vlogs, was Pensacola.
Yeah, that was a lovely area, lovely beach.
Yeah, we were just attracted from other people's vlogs, and it looked like a beautiful beachfront, and it was. Yeah. And we found a lovely air right at the one end of the seafront where you basically just walked out round the corner.
And you're on the beach.
And you're on the beach. Yeah. Did we stay there one night?
I think we done one night in Pensacola, and we went up to the castle
yeah.
at the top of the rock.
But
there.
the air, how much was that? I mean, we will put the links in again for all the places on this vlog.
So I believe that was €8.50.
Something like that.
Yeah. There was no electric on that one, but you did have a toilet on that one, toilet block right next to where the reception was. So it was a good site.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Just a walking distance. I actually went for a run on Pensacola seafront, didn't I?
Yeah.
Before I got bitten by mosquitoes, which I'll talk about that in a minute. I couldn't do any more runs after that.
Yeah.
But it was really nice. There's lots of people out there running. So if you are into your fitness, Pensacola is a great seafront to have a run or a walk along as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We looked on the map to where we were going to go next, and we still get a bit confused about the name of this place, Calp or Calpe. Sometimes it's spelt CALP, and sometimes it has an E on the end of it.
Yeah.
So we decided to call it Calpe.
Yeah.
And we've heard it referred to as that before, and Calp. So we thought what we saw in our vlog, which you saw from our vlog, was the whole of Calpe, didn't we? But apparently we've missed some out since we've heard from comments from viewers.
Yeah, that's right. So apparently there was another beach, maybe 2 beaches, a different area. But we went round really to where the port was.
Yeah.
And you could see the big rock there, couldn't you, as well? Because it's got that big rock that's protruding out.
Something I would like to do if we ever did go back. We're not sure if we would go back, but now we think we've missed places, we probably will.
Yeah, possibly.
I'd like to climb the rock, but you would need a bit of time there and not in great heat for it as well.
As in physically climb it with ropes and everything?
No, there's a walk you can go up there.
Is there a walk?
It's an actual thing. No, not into rock climbing like that.
I'll just get a camera with a good zoom and I'll watch you as you're doing the climb.
But no, I wouldn't mind doing that and seeing the rest of the place that we didn't see.
Yeah.
Now, it's a nice place, and we had a lovely meal there in a lovely restaurant, and the air, or it was like an air, wasn't it? A bit like a campsite as well.
Yeah, it was like a privately run air or camping area.
You could have all your camping stuff out there.
Yeah, so it was in between a campsite and an air.
A nice little bar on there, didn't it? And everything.
But it weren't cheap, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it was something like, was it €14, maybe more?
I don't know, but
something like that.
But it was nice, family run, and it was friendly and everything.
Yeah.
And it was a bit tight, like Lee said, to get in there. But that's where I got bitten by mosquitoes. So on the evening we went to the bar, and they just all homed in, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
So it's kind of put me off going back to that actual site because of that. And the other thing that put me off a little bit was the lagoon. Now it's really pretty, and it's got you've got flamingos on there, different types of wildlife as well, different birds, and it's really nice to see. You can do a little walk around the lagoon, get closer up to it and everything. But it absolutely stunk, and it was horrible.
Even for my nose, I could smell that it weren't a great smell, but I don't smell as much.
You don't smell very well, but you could even smell that.
Yeah.
So that put me off a little bit of going up and looking at the wildlife, really, which was a shame. But so we may visit again, just because we now know we've missed a lot of it out, and go and see that. When we booked our trip, we booked a week in Benidorm, and the plan was to head down to Benidorm, and then on from Benidorm down to Gibraltar, and then back up again. That was the only plan we had. So we had our pre-booked campsite for the week, 7 nights, wasn't it?
Yeah, 7 nights, so that's great.
But when I first got there, as you'll have seen on the Benidorm vlog, the mosquito bites come up, and I've had some comments about this, some negative and some good. Lots of really good advice, which is great from the viewers. Thank you for what to use. I will be taking some of that advice in future to prevent this from happening again. I have been bit before, but nothing like what happened from Calpe. So some of the negative comments, it probably wouldn't have been negative if I actually showed you what my legs were like, but I wanted to spare people from that view. My legs were totally blistered, and my ankles were totally swollen, and I could hardly walk. I was in a lot of pain for a couple of days. So in Benidorm we didn't really do anything for the first couple of days.
No, so that was a bit of a write-off, other than me walking up and down to the pharmacy.
Yeah, gave me stuff, bless him. But when we did actually eventually get out, I could only like wear my Crocs really, or my sliders. Nothing else would fit. So we tried not to go out too far, but we ended up on a really long walk around Benidorm the first day, didn't we?
We did, yeah. More like a mistake. We thought we'd take a better route round.
Different route back, so they're coming along the beach and up that way. We thought we'd ended up on a really long, like busy road with no real footpath, didn't we, coming back? So we've learnt from that, but we did get to see a lot.
We did, yeah. And I mean, to summarise, Benidorm is, it's got something for everyone, and we love Benidorm. I know we've had some comments where people think we may not, especially as I mentioned the comment of the caged animal area. But I didn't mean it to offend anyone. It's just me putting an area there for people that just want to absolutely get off their heads. But if you see some of the things we see out there, then you would understand why.
I will say a couple of the things that happened on the night before we actually came to that conclusion. I might not have used the word cage animals like Lee did, but everyone's got their own way of explaining things. But in the area that we went to, they call it the strip or the square or something like that. There's where they where they sort of have the main bars for the Brits to go and get absolutely steaming, and obviously I think the prices are slightly higher and things like that. So that's the area for them. We went down to that area, and the first pub we went into, we was approached by somebody that had clearly had a lot of drugs. Even was getting them out in front of us and offering them to us, right? Which obviously we were a bit shocked by from the first pub we was in, and there was a big gang of them. Bit intimidating as well. They were in the background towards Lee, weren't they?
So they was trying to sort of antagonise me at that moment. So so it's an area we decided that we'll stay clear from. And
then we found a lovely cabaret bar, and we had a really good evening in the end, didn't we?
Really good evening, yes.
We even had a really nice meal there before we went to that place, so we had a really good evening to that. But then as we were coming back home from that cabaret bar, I actually witnessed some guy dropping his full shorts in front of two ladies in mobility scooters. Right? Which, you might think it's funny in a way, but that's somebody's grandma, and I just, that sort of behaviour, it's actually, it's an illegal offence, to be honest. It's, I suppose
it's behaviour, some of the behaviour in that area, they wouldn't do it at home. So, why do it there?
It's embarrassing, really, isn't it?
But you had lots of different areas. So the triangle area, you got the strip coming down, or the area, the main road coming into Benidorm from the campsite. There's great bars and stuff on there, and some on the beach. So it's it's a real, and then you've got all the old town. So it's a really good place to visit. And like we say, lots for everyone there. You just have to, be a bit more clued up on the areas you want to go.
Which we are now, and we will go back to Benidorm. I'd love to go at Christmas sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
And the campsite we were on, we absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
it wasn't great. The main one that everyone goes camping Racco. It wasn't that one. It was just further up from that. It's in the description anyway. But it was absolutely beautiful. We really enjoyed the week. It was a really nice. We always had stuff to do, even around me not being able to get out as much. But we just know where to avoid next time. But I think that's just our first impression. And it's a place we'd definitely go back. So it's not a negative on it. We're just telling you our truth of our experience. Lee decided he was going to find us somewhere completely different to Benidorm, didn't you?
Yeah, just somewhere a bit more off I suppose the tourist track. A bit quieter.
I think it was called Carboneras.
Something like that,
Yeah, we've got a vlog on that, so there's not much to say about that place apart from the campsite was really good, wasn't it, the area was on?
Yeah, very scenic to the mountains.
Very deserted area, wasn't it?
Yeah, we think it's probably an area that's more local, as in Spanish holidays, some more locals will use it.
National park, wasn't it? Preserved
national park there.
Yeah.
But it was really, it had a lovely beach, and it weren't that bad of a walk down to the beach. It was about 20 minutes.
We just hit it in the quiet time in the day, that's all.
Yeah.
But I reckon it's probably, like you said, a Spanish tourist area, because it did have everything, loads of restaurants, everything that you needed.
Yeah.
It's just we didn't see it in full swing. The next area we went to, Lee planned that, didn't you?
Yeah, so this one I sort of planned. I've done it on Search for Sites. Now there's 3 like camping areas or airs, I suppose, but there was 3 lay-bys as well. So I knew, you know, by the time we were getting there, it was going to be a bit later. What was it? No, I think it was around midday-ish.
It was about 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
And it said it was shut till 6.
A bit later, because we've found that if anything after 1, you might find it difficult to get into an air because they might be full. But we got there, and the ones you pay for didn't seem that good, and you couldn't get in until 6 o'clock in the evening when they come back.
And one of them had a really steep
hill.
Still a hill that twisted round, and we just didn't know if we was going to.
So we carried on driving further down, and we stopped in one of the lay-bys, and then, you know, we decided, actually, you know, why not stay there the night? We're on a lovely, beautiful view.
We've never done any total off-grid, like lay-by parking at that point, or even in a car park at that point.
No,
not done
that's
anything.
right. Because obviously the type of van we got, we definitely stand out that we are there sleeping there the night, and we're a motorhome.
But so. If you're going to do it, and you've never done it before, and you're in that area, you know, the police do come round and check you're not camping.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't have anything out, or the police will move you on. But if you're just quietly in there, not bothering anybody. They physically drove past us and didn't say anything. They knew we were there for the night.
Yeah.
So
they were fine.
As long as you're not camping, you are fine. Yeah. So we would definitely recommend that. And then our next stop was Gibraltar.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. So we'd seen on other people's vlogs again that there was a marina park up in Spain, and then we just thought we'll use that, and then we'll cross over, go through the border and go into Gibraltar. So we got there the first night. The actual marina park itself was shut off.
Yeah.
They were doing work on the air itself. We did pay what you paid when you left, but we paid for, I think it ended up being 2.5 nights, didn't it? Because it calculates it like that.
Yeah. So there was decent enough space.
They do have rules on noise and things like that. But we did have, if you've looked at our vlog, we did have a bit of noise from some people next to us. We did tell the security, and not a lot was really done about it, and they didn't really they weren't really that bothered, apart from moving a van that was parked in a U-shape. That was the only downside. That really, you know, we had a bit of a noisy night one night. Apart from that, it was fine. Then we went onto the rock itself. Found it quite expensive, didn't we?
Yeah, it's quite expensive in Gibraltar.
Yeah.
It's quite built up area. It's worth doing. It's worth going up to the rock.
Yeah,
I would definitely recommend taking the cable car up and walking down.
Even for you that's scared of heights.
Yeah, it's a 6-minute journey up. You know, there is a seat either end of the cable car, and it's just, you know, I was able to sit down and just, you know, take my ride up to the top. We
enjoyed our time there. But we've done it now.
Tick it off your bucket list. And everyone's got their own opinions on stuff, so you know, it's worth seeing. So
after the hectic Gibraltar, Lee and ourselves decided we would do a nice campsite, because we were planning on heading back after we'd done that, so we went to a campsite for a couple of nights. Did we do 2 or 3 nights? Can't remember. 3 nights, I think.
3 nights, yeah.
So we thought we'll find a campsite for 3 nights, and then we'll head back from there, back through Spain, and then that way around, because it's time to start heading back.
Yeah, that's right.
But the campsite we found, which was quite a nice campsite, but half of it was closed down for refurbishment, and the beaches around it weren't the kind of beaches that we wanted. No. They were pretty in one way, but they weren't like sunbathing beaches.
They were dirty beaches, really.
Yeah, and the water, we weren't sure about the water, were we? So you wanted to swim as well. So we did have a nice time there, and a nice few chilled out days from all your driving, and that we did appreciate it for the 3 days, which was good. But we still felt that we hadn't done what we wanted to do. We wanted to find a campsite with a pool, which we did, but one where Lee could swim in on the beach as well, wasn't it? That's what we was after.
Yeah.
So when we moved on from there, we found a free
park up right near Alicante.
Yeah.
And it was right on the beach. And we got there on a busy day. We realised found out later it was a Spanish holiday, so there was a lot of Spanish there.
But that was good in a way.
It was good in a way, yeah. And then we stayed there for a couple of nights, right on the beach, like I say, right on the promenade. There was one shop down there, like a supermarket, and there was the restaurant type pubs as well, and that was a good chance to get a swim in and a bit of sunbathing before we headed back through Spain.
It was a lovely promenade, and it's close to the airport. I think it's Alicante Airport. You could see the planes.
Yeah, you see and hear the planes every 10 minutes.
They weren't that bad, though, were they?
No, it didn't bother us.
And it was just a lovely, like white sandy beach, if you like, near Alicante, near the Benidorm area as well. So it's that kind of beach.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And the only thing that lets that down is because they've got no facilities. It is free, and because they've got no facilities, some people they were emptying their toilet cassettes in their little grass areas on the beach.
Yeah, which is not pleasant.
People walk barefooted around there, and that's something. If that doesn't get stopped, then people said we should have reported it. One, I didn't know what language they were. It was found that the language barrier might have been there. Probably wouldn't have listened to us. We were there another night. We didn't want to cause any more problems, especially after Gibraltar. The issues we had in Gibraltar, the air near there.
Yeah, and plus it's a free stop, so it's not like an official.
Yeah, but no one to complain to, really.
It's not an official, place to stop.
We didn't want to highlight it either too much at that point in case they started wanting people off the car park. So we decided not to do anything apart from highlight it on a vlog, which is what we wanted to do.
Yeah. So don't do things like that.
No,
I'm sure most of us don't.
So it was a letdown, and it's very upsetting to see. But apart from that, it was an absolute beautiful place, wasn't it? And we will definitely go back there again. At that place, Lee actually got his swim in the sea, which is what he wanted to do before we headed home, and we did. We headed home from that spot.
Yep.
And we sort of went through. We were going to go to Zaragoza, but we got to an air there, and it was too busy and stuff. Absolutely
packed. It was just so busy. There are people that are probably staying there for a lot longer than maybe they should.
Yeah, it wasn't comfortable, and if you don't feel comfortable, you move on, don't you?
Yeah.
So we said, let's go back to Pamplona.
Yeah.
So we stopped at that's the free air that we're saying, the free car park on the way back up. And then the next day we headed back to France to La Rochelle, didn't we?
Yes, so straight through, like you say, across the border to La Rochelle, and that was a lovely. That was an air, a big one actually, a camping air, I think. So and that was about €12 a night for a 24-hour period, but it had electric as well, and it had decent sized pitches and not far from the main seafront area.
I liked it there, and we could walk down to the main harbour area and that, and where there was a little beach around there. You can go across to the island, but we didn't have the time, did we? If we were there 2 nights, we would have gone across to the island as well. Then there's a bridge you can go across on foot, is there, I think?
Yes, there is. Yeah.
We would have done that, but so if we ever go there again, we probably would again at some point.
Yeah, definitely. It was a nice place.
And the beach is lovely.
What happened from there? So then we pushed on, and we decided Honfleur was the next one.
Honfleur, yeah, because at that point we only had a couple of nights left, didn't we?
Yeah.
No, we had one night left, did we? From that, did we stay?
2 nights. No, one night in Honfleur. And I'm glad we did, because it changed my view on some of the areas that I have stayed in France, and it was absolutely stunning. The buildings, the architecture. It's definitely a fishing town. Or city, sorry, it was a city. It was just hustling and bustling with market stalls and people having a good time. But everywhere you looked, the pavement was different, the buildings were different. It was hard to take in because there was so much to look at. So it made a massive difference for some of the places we've seen in France to go to Honfleur and enjoy something like that. And I'll definitely...
Quirky was a word that you kept using.
Quirky, yeah, and I'll definitely go back and explore that a bit more.
So that was the end of our Europe trip after that, because we headed back to Cali really early in the morning, got on our train and headed home. Right,
so let's give you a breakdown. So we was out there for a month, just 30 days, I believe it was, something like that. So give you a breakdown. I've written it all down, so you have to excuse me while I'm looking down. But the tolls, so all the tolls altogether, worked out about £318.50. Majority of the toll fees were French side, and I think the most expensive one was €70 in one hit. Personally, I didn't feel that's too bad. A lot of people say, oh, save money from not going on the tolls. Yes, if you're exploring France, yes, if you're going around the coastline and stuff like that, that's great, but you're adding time to the travel.
And fuel.
And fuel.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 6 to 10 hours for the trip right into Spain. You can add. Now, if I was doing a day's drive extra in this vehicle, that's an extra tank of fuel, really. A tank of fuel for this vehicle is easily £140. So it's sort of, in my eyes, it balances out the toll fees from the journey. And then we've got the fuel cost itself. So the fuel cost for us was around £810. I've converted it from euros to pounds, which actually ain't too bad. And we covered... it was just about 3,500 miles in total for the whole trip. Now, I did start on a fresh tank of fuel from the UK. So if I add that to the price, you're looking at around 950 quid in total. I expected anyway, and I knew that would be the biggest cost to this trip. So then the campsites and airs. So I put all these together because we stayed on some that are free, some that are actual official campsites, and then some that are airs. The total cost for that was £370. Now, you can spend that a week in the UK. So, you know, if you do a mixture out there of campsites, cheap airs, and then free, you know, £370, and that's with the week in Benidorm. So that was really, really good price, I thought.
And if we went back again, we would try and do more free and cost-effective ones. We'd have a mixture still. We still would do campsites as well.
Yeah, we still would.
To break it up and chill out. And
we never planned to go on a budget on this. We just planned to enjoy the trip as a holiday.
Not a tight budget. We have obviously had a budget, but it wasn't a tight budget, was it?
It was loose.
We wanted a
holiday. It
holiday
weren't us
as
going
well.
away for on a budget holiday. It was to enjoy and experience what we can. Now, eating, I've done it as eating out and the shopping and anything we spent in the supermarket, or if we went to a restaurant, that's including the drinks and food. So total over the month is £615. If you think about it, it weren't actually that bad of a spend. So we would do at home normal shopping around £400 a month.
Yeah.
So £615 was really good, and you can cut that cost down. You just don't eat out as much and make sure you find Lidl's and shop in the supermarket and cook. With all that added up, then the grand total of that is £2,113.50.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I could calculate for. Now, there was a little bit more that Jodie
I had a bit of spending money on top of that.
Yeah.
In my bank account. So then it was about £400 I spent, and that was like I'd chip in for the odd restaurant or some bits. But we haven't calculated that in the sections.
No, it would be too difficult.
So we just, it's another £400 on that, we just call that miscellaneous.
Yeah.
So I just want to talk to you about how we did it as well. So Lee had a Revolut card.
Yes.
Which you put some euros on before.
Yeah, I was converting my pounds to euros and having my euro account on the card.
Yeah, and I had a Santander bank account, which was okay, but it still did charge me if I spent anything on it. And I had my sterling bank card. Now that didn't charge me, and I didn't convert anything to euros. But when we were converting it through, it gives you the choice of pounds or euros. I just stuck with the local currency, the euros, which made it cheaper that way around. I didn't get any extra fees on it, so they were good. And I have a nationwide card as well, which also doesn't charge you. So I had the choice of the three. Now I know Santander charges you, which I didn't think it would do because it was a Spanish bank, but I only used a couple of transactions on there. But now I stick to my sterling, the Revolut.
I got a little bit of cash just in case.
Not out while you was there though.
No, not really, and we didn't really use it. So most things was you could use by card. So the grand total of that then, with the miscellaneous, is £2,513.50. So you're looking, I reckon, to enjoy the month like we did, you're looking at about £2,500. Obviously you can cut that down by maybe cutting the fuel, maybe not going to the toll roads, and maybe eating in the van more often. What we would like to say though is thanks to everyone that has been following us along on this journey through Europe. Thank you for all the comments and all the suggestions and any help that you've given us along the way. We do appreciate it. It has been appreciated and received well.
Yeah. And saying that as well, when we do get negative comments, so we don't earn loads from YouTube. We enjoy what we're doing. We enjoy people watching it. If we can help people, that's great. You do eventually earn a little bit of pocket money from it, which can go towards your travel, which is the idea for us. And when we receive negative comments, it's really difficult to detach yourself from that. So the only way we can do that is just by deleting them and blocking the people from the channel. Some comments we've left in if we thought that they might be just someone's opinion, but if they did get personal, they're deleted from.
So it's any, there's no need to get personal. We're just like anyone else, but we just put ourselves on a bit of film and film what we can for people, just so they can go out as we do. We check YouTube videos and stuff like that and do research of areas we want to visit. So we do that for people, So if it's personal, then there's no point in being on the channel, so we'll remove you from it.
The majority of comments have been positive,
most of the comments,
helpful, people appreciating what we're doing. So it's only a minority that we're getting, but as you know, a negative comment can in life anywhere can be a bit upsetting. We would also like to say thank you again to Andy and Rose, because we have had another super thanks from you guys. Really appreciate it and really glad that you're enjoying it. So our plans for the future, we are doing a few winter campsites and things like that. We've got some shows planned for next year already in the bag, haven't we? We're going to be doing some rallies, maybe a few CLs, maybe a couple of little tours around England we're looking at. We've got plans to go up to Scotland at some point, and depending what it's like next year, we'll hopefully be going back out to Europe again. Maybe heading Portugal this time. Maybe Portugal sounds like a good one to go to. So please stay tuned with us and keep on a journey with us. Really enjoy sharing our travels with you. We do. And as always, thanks for everyone that's been coming along on the journey. Thanks for everyone that's subscribed to the channel, and we will see you on the next one. See ya. Bye.